Zest is in, where resilience begins, not fixing the cracks.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Zest is in with me, Shel Marie, the podcast that'll take you on a journey from the hustle to the harmony, fueling your passion whilst finding your peace. I am super excited to welcome my guest Patsy today. We have already had such a beautiful behind the scenes and you're going to love her, and definitely her star magic and belief coding. She is a belief coding facilitator guiding deep transformation across the physical, mental and emotional body, which is definitely what I'm feeling. You're going to love the energy of this episode. Through her work with trauma and the subconscious, she helps uncover what's hidden beneath the surface, inviting profound shifts from within, which I love talking about, all about the mind and everything happening within, which shows without. So I'm sure this episode will explore what's really shaping our reality and what becomes possible when we begin to rewire it powerfully. If you feel called, I invite you to share a little love, helping amplify my guests' voices like Patsy's today by subscribing for future episodes. It costs absolutely nothing, just a click of the button, but it allows this powerful episode and the wisdom shared here today to reach many more hearts and minds. So if you have done so already, thank you. And may this episode bring you the clarity, self-awareness, and a deep sense of inner freedom. Welcome, Patsy.
Hello there. Thank you for having me. I'm so grateful to be here today. I'm loving the energy from you too. So yeah, let's do it. Let's do this.
Absolutely. And something that just straight away comes to mind, star magic. Let's just start there. Whatever comes to your mind about star magic, I just think it's such a beautiful way to start the episode.
Okay, perfect. So star magic is, for me in my life and my journey of the healing and everything else, is more recent. So my journey started, we can talk about my journey if we like, but my journey started a very long time before star magic. But the strange and interesting thing of the alignment with star magic is that I had the knowing of it before I knew it. And that's why my journey started a very long time ago. So for me, books are great. I've always been a big reader, but I've always had my own inner knowledge. So it just aligned when it came to me. It was brought to me from however. I just knew that was part of my journey to be able to help other people with. And I just love it. I love it. I get to be my magician. I get to be my alchemist. I get to help people all over the world. I help animals from dying. I help people in hospital. I just love the fact that I can use my imagination with it, which was something from a child that I already had. So it suits me really well to do star magic. Love it.
Wow, already I feel like you just revealed so much there that I know that if the listeners are really listening like me, I'm like curious so much to ask you so much about just what you've even just said. So animals, hospitals, there's so many layers to this. And before we dive into that, and I definitely want to know your incredible journey, which I know is going to be just as magical. I believe that this is where the inner belief comes from first before the outer, because there's a difference between receiving something, whether we call it an idea, a download, whatever it is that comes to our mind, which I believe that you expressed, and then having the courage, the confidence and the belief, and equally getting others to believe in what you believe in order to make transformational change in the world. So with that in mind, feel free, whatever part, whether you feel like sharing your journey or an example, would really benefit the listeners, and obviously me as well, selfishly me right now, because I do know there's a very big difference between what you receive, what you know and believe, and having the courage to not only speak it but take action towards it. So yeah, I would just love to know more about that.
Yeah, so that's a great point, to be honest, Shel Marie, because I I know, and I believe, and I can see in others that they sometimes have the knowing but don't have the courage or the confidence, so
Exactly.
they don't speak their truth. I've been lucky, I suppose, if that's the right word, because my journey started from birth. And this is going to blow some people's minds.
Oh my gosh, it just gets better. Anyway, carry on.
It is going to blow people's minds. I didn't come across healing or those sorts of things very late on, and you know, trust me, I'm not as young as people actually think I am sometimes, but that's another story. However, I arrived into this world as the starseeds that we are, and I died at 6 months in the womb. And that's the reaction to my mum, obviously traumatized. I'm the third child, the youngest, and I've always felt the eldest because of the maturity, the courage, the confidence, the knowing, the awareness. I'm the old soul. And many of us are old souls because we've had many lives before, but we don't bring that through because it's the remembering of that that's the important bit. So I died at 6 months and was asked, and I know this because I remember this, that did I want to die or did I want to come back? Did I want to stay? So I left the womb and had that conversation about the soul contracts and said, well, I don't want to go back if I don't have the right purpose. I was a soul already, and I've had many journeys before with being a high priestess and all sorts of things, an alchemist, all sorts of lovely, wonderful things. So I said, well, I need to go back and have some purpose to why I'm there. I don't want to just be born into the river like everybody else is being, or lots of people are being in families. I call it being born into the riher. And so
I said, it's because they're not awakened to their own truth, as you will know. But anyway, that's another discussion.
Well, we come into the river, but we don't remember the previous rivers. So my previous rivers were saying, no, don't send me into a river that's not going to be useful, or, you know, give me the lessons, of course. Yeah. So I signed a different contract. I ripped one contract up and burned it, and I chose another one. So
wow, that is a powerful 6-month-year-old.
No, it was fabulous, but it didn't mean I'm not having that. No, I'm on my way. And I knew that I had this purpose. It didn't mean I didn't have any lessons. I've had many, trust me, I have, we all do. But it meant that I had a better starting point. And so I was born into this river. The sort of downloads that were given to me are still coming at this age. So they're going to come, and they come in layers, and they're fantastic. So they come in sort of, I don't know, 5 or 10 years, or sometimes months. But the interesting bit, which ties in with now, is in that moment when I came back, my mum was traumatized, okay? And I set a belief in that moment, because beliefs come from pain. Yeah. So I set a belief not because of my pain, because I remembered I'd gone and come back, and with all these beautiful things I was going to do and be able to do. My mum's pain hit me like a boulder in the chest. And I set a pain belief, protection, that she must never be this hurt ever again. So my life has been protecting mum from being ever hurt again. So even though I had all these beautiful, beautiful things that I have, and gifts that I have got, I protected my mum throughout her life, and she passed sadly 4 years ago. So I protected her from her relationships, from my sister, what my sister's energy was towards me, because there was a lot of stuff because she was elder, and many, many, many things. And I became her coach throughout my life to my mum. So I'm the adult to everybody. I became this adult, and including my own mum. So it was like having a mother nurture and nature at the same time, which was beautiful, because I was being nurtured because she was very kind. But her journey was trauma from the get-go, from myself being born, and she was told I'd died. So she thought when she woke up I wasn't going to be there. So I felt that more on her behalf. She woke up, I was still there. So it was a really, really interesting start. And so going forward, that belief's now gone because she's not here. But that led me into the river of having the knowing and the awareness and everything to protect her, when actually she should have been learning some more things herself, but she didn't take that on board. So I just did my own journey of that at the same time trying to protect her. It was really interesting.
Wow.
So as I grew, especially at school, I was always knowing I was slightly different, not in a negative way, in a sort of observant way, in a sort of looking after everybody else, in not getting in trouble with teachers, and I would just sort of sit and have my imagination going a little bit wild in the classroom. I might astral travel sometimes and look down at the whole group, what was going on, and nobody could understand me properly because the teacher sometimes even threw things at me to say what was the answer, and I would give the answer really quickly and they wouldn't know how that happened if I wasn't concentrating. So they put a lot of emphasis on concentration, whereas I was doing the two things at the same time. I was watching them, listening to them in my physical, but also in my knowing and in my astral traveling, or in my world of me, I found the answer really quickly. So I could have asked that answer without going to school.
Wow. Was you aware that you were that the other children weren't doing that, or did you just think everybody was living this way?
That's really interesting, because that's exactly what it was. I just thought we were all doing it, and I just thought I wasn't different. I started to know a little bit later on, but I didn't know at that time. I could recite the times table really quickly because it wasn't coming from the teacher, it was coming from my knowing, and I just would ask it and it would just come out. Wow. So I would do it really quickly. I could do things really quickly, so it seemed that I was on the ball, and I was a very imaginative child, and the teacher would write that on the reports. I've never known anyone with such imagination, because it was pouring out of me, not coming from that way.
Of course.
So it wasn't in drawing or those things, but I'm sure if I'd have asked for it, I could have done that one as well. But it became a sort of I was liked by a lot of people, and they didn't know why. That's what was the interesting bit, because I was this light shining my energy, my light, and nobody could take it off me or stop me or change it. So they couldn't tell me I was ugly or fat or anything, and if they did, it wouldn't make any difference, because inside I knew different. So I came out like that straight off the bat, which was really, really good for me. So nobody could steal. And one of the things as I grew became very apparent to me that I was different to other people not doing this. And that was a bit of a shock. That really came as a shock. And then I realized that part of the remembering and the knowing was that I could help people to be able to do that themselves. Beautiful. That came really strong. And at school, this is one of my favorite stories in high school. There was a young girl about 2 years below me. I didn't know her, and she used to walk the same route to school, back and forth from our houses, and she lived a little bit further on. But she started to walk closer to me and then talk to me, and then the light was bringing her in, and she was in a home that wasn't so great. There was some abuse, there was some neglect, she didn't have great haircuts or nothing. And I loved her. I absolutely loved her. Her name was Rebecca, and I loved Rebecca. And I would chat to her and I would give her some advice. I'm sort of in my teens at this point, 12 onwards. And this happened for 4 years, up and down the road. And on the last day, she bought me a gift. She had no money. I was really lucky to have a better home than that. But she brought me this beautiful little gift. It was a little picture. And she said, I think you're going to be a counsellor or a social worker, and she was like, and I'm so upset you're leaving and everything else. And she said, but you have changed everything for me in these past 4 years. She was still young and she was beautiful. And she used to get bullied, and I would stand up for her. And if anyone ever said, what are you doing walking with her? I'd say, this is my best friend, meet Rebecca. And she was beautiful. And then fast forward maybe 20 years maybe, I bumped into her in the toilet of a restaurant, and she just looked like she'd seen a ghost. And she said, are you Patsy? And I said, yeah. And she said, oh my God, it's Rebecca. And I nearly fainted as well.
Wow.
And she'd got married, she'd had a family, she was being different with her family and I was so pleased for her. I couldn't be any more pleased. But in that journey, that's the thing that came up the most for me, that I was so happy for people
Yes.
who'd gotten back to that in a way that might not have happened. And I don't need the thanks, I don't need any of that. I just like it to happen for them, because that makes our world better. It
Yeah.
makes their world
Yes.
better. And so I know that's my purpose here, is to change person by person the world, the whole world. And so that's
Hold
what
the
I do.
highest vision for them, and believe in that the
Yes.
external is not a representation of them, and that, you know, I think that's absolutely beautiful, so beautiful.
Yeah. So that was her step on. I don't know from there where it went, but I know that it was a step on the ladder to her, you know, healing, or to her awareness, or to her knowing there can be different. She just knew that not everybody that she'd encountered up to that point were going to be awful to her, were going to not love her. She just knew that I unconditionally loved her just because.
Yeah,
it was
that's
beautiful. I love. It's my favorite part of my world that happened at that time. Yeah.
Wow, Patsy, incredible. And one thing that's coming through right now that I'd love to then know, because wow, just you are what I talk about often of, you are just the embodiment of you, your gifts. And so I guess, like, thinking about the viewers and thinking about them knowing what they know, but how to because still, you know, we still have to be grounded in this reality. And it's not saying, oh, it's all about money and everything, but still you or equally should be celebrated, and you should receive for what you are putting out to others. Not saying that we do that as an exchange, but
Yes.
I think often, especially very awakened people and very loving and connected to and often not even knowing that the like the effect they have on others. And I'm sure you were exactly the same. You just saw her, you loved her, and you were kind to her, and then maybe later in, I don't know, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but later in life you were like, huh, okay, I see a pattern happening now, etc. So what I'm just really intrigued about is how, because I think also when it is you, it's the embodiment of you, it's not we don't see value in it, but it's us. So it's then, how do you turn that? Because I think, you know, there's so often this get a job, do this, but what you're doing is of such significance and transformation for so many lives and people, that I think we don't talk enough about how we convert that into the life that we are here to deliver and do. So I'm just intrigued how you then took what you knew and you were able to know. Well, I feel like you already knew that, but again, you can explain your value and your worth, and knowing that, because I think it's hard when, you know what I'm trying to explain, I think it's hard when it's something that's just you can't really put a price on it. That's what I'm trying to explain.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting one, and different for probably every single person on the planet, because of the river that they were born into, and including myself. And I'm not different in the way that we were all born into the river, but I'm different in maybe where I'm at and when it started for me, the knowing, etc. Some people it doesn't come till later, and that's fine, because there's a mixture for me, and there's a mixture of the lessons that we have to have because of the contracts that we've signed. And for me, it was very strong where relationships were concerned, and jobs were concerned. That the only thing that's been important to me in my life is joy. And so in relationships for me, and for other people, the one thing that I started to see, and I could see it in my mum too, was this ancestral pattern that we all have and get in this river. For me, the strongest knowing that was coming through was, you can't steal my spirit.
Yeah.
Nobody can take my spirit. And when I used to see it coming in, I knew that there was either something I had to leave or something had to change.
Yes.
If it didn't, people used to, think I was some sort of escape person that would just be able to escape, which wasn't anything to do with commitment. It was to do with joy. And I would assist the situation, whether it was a job or whether it was a relationship. And if that person I was aligning with or matching with didn't want to or couldn't or wasn't there yet, then I had to make that protection about me. And so I was able to move along. And that's what I would probably say to people, that my knowing gave me such a strong confidence of self-worth and self-respect. But the biggest thing is I trusted it. And when I trust myself, which means I trust others, I trust the process. And so I just would know it's time to go. And there's no sadness. I've never had empty nest syndrome. I've never had loss of friends syndrome. I've never had anything, loss of jobs. I would love it because I would know the next part of that is the next adventure. Expansion. To me. Yeah, for me, for my transformation and my expansion. So I would love it. So I think that for me is really key to the whole thing.
Absolutely. I know a big thing you talk about, I know you didn't say this explicitly, but this is what I'm sensing and feeling, is the heart-mind coherence and alignment, which is something I'm really passionate about. Again, like what you've so beautifully expressed, I didn't understand the choices I made, but now I do, because something wasn't quite in alignment. And again, it doesn't mean that they were bad or the situation was bad, anything like that. It's not good or bad. It's not right or wrong. It just is. And I would love your take on this. But what I've really noticed is sometimes we come into each other's lives because there's a gift or something that the other person, there's always an exchange in every situation. And I think everybody has the opportunity to grow together. Job, relationship, friendship, because I believe it's not one, it's always life.
Everyone, everything.
And I think particularly when we are becoming too comfortable or stagnant or whatever, we will also have people come in and they will play, they don't know, but they play their role so beautifully, because we also need expanding, we need pushing.
The mirror.
And this is something I've really noticed. And before, it would always be, I would go to the again or why or da 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 da. And I've now realized, no, this is really powerful, because it's showing something to me. And if that person, because we should always want to strive for more, and it's not saying that never be satisfied, but we're here to keep expanding, we're here to keep getting more joy, more love, more experiences. And so I found that sometimes people are attracted, again, when you have a beautiful energy, they're attracted to something they see in you, but if they're not willing to grow with you, it doesn't. I just noticed that something will come in, and sometimes it's masked as chaos. I don't think it always has to be, but sometimes we subscribe the narrative, and change has to happen. And I just see it very differently now.
Yes, and they have that opportunity too. And so it is an exchange of everything. Everything is energy, and I think that one of the biggest things that people don't sort of realize is that we are the universe. And if we are the universe, if we're the light, which we are, we have many bodies. So we have the light body, we have the physical, etc. There's many bodies. If we were to switch all the lights out in the planet and it was just our light, there would be just one big light, because we're all connected. We are unity, and we've been, I suppose, through the systems of school and you know, the governments and all the systems that we all know about, we've been separated for a purpose, a reason, which is a negative one, not a good one.
Yeah.
And if we all recognize that, we wouldn't be worried every day or anxious every day or following other people. We would be leading our own lives in our energetic way. And so I think for me, in a three-dimension state of mind world, I've managed, because of the knowing and the remembering, which everybody has this. It's people say, oh, your gifts are great, and I'm a psychic and a medium and a clever. I've got all of those gifts, and I'm very lucky to have them in a way. But at the same time, we're all it. It's not me. I'm not.
Ask and you shall receive. Are you asking?
Exactly.
No?
I asked.
But you can't. There's no intervening if we don't ask. So, yeah.
No, and I've always had this lack of fear, and I don't mean that through a sort of, you know, bungee jumping way or out of a plane type of way. It's more of a growing way and a purpose way and a change way. I don't have a fear, and people have fear of spirit. They have fear of, you know, moving house.
Yes.
But I've never had that. I've always embraced the change, and I think this three-dimensional state of mind that's the world at the moment, and it's shifted and shifting, that I've navigated it like a river. So because I'm in the river of the ancestral patterns, I have to check in with myself a lot, like we all should, to make sure that I'm not being pulled back into it. And if I am, what's my lesson? And I'm in a 5-dimensional state of mind, if not more. And so that doesn't match. So things that people enjoy in our tribe, so a town or a village or a country, they want to be not out of their comfort zone, not learning, not having the purpose. They want to fit in. And so that's the systems, and that comes from very young in the schools, which I sort of ignored, I suppose. And this is a beautiful moment for me in high school, where the school uniform was something for me. I loved fashion, and I loved me, and I loved the world. And we had a headmistress who looked like something off Harry Potter, with her hair all pulled back. She had a very pointy face, and I used to think, oh, she's an Andromedan. She's a different species. She's not really human, and very serious. And everyone used to be really fearful of her. But she was endeared to me for some reason. And every assembly, every morning, this sea of blue jumpers would come in, which was the children in the teams, and the uniform. And I used to turn up in a very beautiful grey lambswool cardigan. I would be, and I was quite, I wouldn't say quiet or shy or anything like that, but very observant. So I didn't make a noise about things. I would do things very subtly, but I would turn up as me, and I wanted to wear not the same as everybody else. And every morning, honestly, she would point at me, and she'd use my surname. So she'd say, Coghlan, out. And every day for 5 years this happened. And I would sit outside with the grey lambswool cardigan on, which I'd stolen from my sister's wardrobe, of course. And then she would come out after the assembly. And I used to think, this assembly is repetitive. It's the same every day. I'm not learning anything. I can sit in my own stillness and learn much more in the corridor. So that's what I used to do. And she would come out, and she'd point in my bag, and she'd say, blue jumper. That's all she'd say, very sternly, and walk off. And I would say, okay, put it on while she was there. As she walked off, I'm putting it back off again into the bag. And I would just wear this grey jumper all day. So I knew very early on that I wasn't the follower in that sense. It wasn't a rebellion, a negative rebellion. It was a very positive rebellion for me. And if it was, you know, I choose my battles very wisely, because I flow through the rivers. And if it was one that was really important to me, and it was showing the universe and the sign of, you know, who I am, I would stand my ground, and I would just stand in my space. And so that was a really poignant moment for myself at that time, to wear this beautiful cardigan. It was small, but it was big in the sense of, you know, the bigger picture.
Yes, big statement.
Yeah, it was huge. And, you know, I wasn't doing it to fit in with fashion or, you know, whatever else it would be to look better. I just didn't want to be that, the blueness. I didn't want to be that. And I recognized those sorts of things really early on in life. And people become the systems, and then they leave
Yes.
school and they're still in the systems, and the parents are in the systems. So for me, with the star magic and the belief coding, it's really important to understand the beliefs of people where they're stuck, which is feeding into that river of sort of, you know, the blue jumpers, and also the traumas that they may have had individually in that river as well, for the ancestral patterns that now need breaking for the cycle for the children going forward. So I see life very differently to many people. The perception I have is very different to many people. And so I love working with, you know, I've helped people have children because they've had a belief or they've had a trauma that's connected to the womb energy, and that means they've not been able to have a child, and then we clear that, the next thing they have a child. But then I'm very conscious that the ancestral, the rest of it is going to follow, you know, if they've got anxiety or depression or anything like that, then they give that to the child in the ancestral flow. So that's a big part of what I like to do, is to help with that transformation of that flow of the river. Yeah, I love that. That's the biggest part for me. I thank Rebecca every day for this, because she came very early on to show me, and my own as well, because we all have one in our own families, all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours, and there's so much that you're sharing that I just relate to so much and so heavily. Just one more thing that I just seemed to be coming to mind right now that I would love your take on before you go and work your magic in France. Are you in France at the moment?
Yeah.
So one thing that I'm just wondering about as well, and I guess this is where it transitions from, because I know that you, with your gift, when we have that kind of gift that's just the embodiment, and you probably feel and sense things a lot from listening mainly to people's words and how they respond to life. One thing that I really had to understand about myself is that not everyone is ready to receive what you have to tell them. And I guess this is where it transitions to people coming to you and being intrigued. So for example, listening to this episode, going onto your website or connecting with you and intrigued to find out more. Wow, you said about the womb and the baby. I would love your help and support. And I think this is where we've got to be very careful, but I'd love your take on it. This is just what I've realized, where you can actually not take on someone's karma, but sometimes when you give, when people are not ready to receive, sometimes that can actually come at a cost to yourself. What would you say on that?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and that's probably one that I learned, if that's the right word, or knew many years ago. I didn't have a problem. I remembered. Yes, thank you. It's definitely remembered, and the layers of remembering come at the time that they're necessary, I suppose.
Yeah.
I didn't have any issues with having a child. So for me, it was this must be the right time. My own journey of having a child was that they didn't show up the hormone in me for 6 months, and I didn't put any weight on, although I was quite sick. And every test, in fact 6 tests at the hospital, said no, there was no baby, there was no hormone, there was not pregnant.
Up to 6 months.
6 months.
Whoa!
Yeah. So I've had so many strange journeys in my life with these things. So, and I wasn't really planning on having one. So the pill was still around. You know, I had a partner as well. We lived together. And so it was a shock to everybody. And my mum, when I went to the hospital, because I was a little bit, I don't do really hospitals or medicines and stuff because I don't need to. And my body heals itself, and I've healed many things. I've healed lupus, I've healed all sorts. I've had, you know, colitis, all sorts of things. However, that comes from my emotional river. So I've healed those things. When I was having my son, and he's now 32, so it's a long time ago, he just didn't show up. And so they didn't know what to do with me because they'd tested pregnancy, it wasn't that. So they were testing some other things. And they said, we don't know, but we're assuming there is an infection in your spleen. So we're going to take it out. And I thought, I don't think this is...
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's what they said. That's what the medicine said. So I knowingly knew that wasn't the truth. So I show up to see what would be the outcome, thinking this isn't the truth. I don't believe this. So I turn up, and I do this quite often. It's not a test, but it's a sort of, well, I know what I believe and what I know. So now let me see what the universe gives me to handle this. So I just show up to see what's going to happen. So I show up to the hospital. I drive myself there on the day because I say to my mum and my partner, it's okay, it's not till tomorrow. In my head, I'm knowing it's not going to go ahead. Of course, so this is the belief thing that comes through as well. So I'm not believing this. So if I don't believe it, then I don't believe it's true. So
but you're not doing the resistance, so that's
there's no resistance. I turn up to see what's going to happen because I know I'm protected. I know the right thing's going to happen.
Your poor spleen and your poor baby. Anyway,
I don't know if I really need it, but if they take it, there's a reason for that. Anyway, I show up, and the same doctor is about to have a look at it the day before he's going to take it out, and he's done the pregnancy test. He's done a barium meal. He's done all sorts of things. So the lovely nurse that comes in with the machine, I'm already on flat. I am the thinnest person on the beach. I'm literally 6'12", and I am the thinnest person on the beach at this time, and I'm 29. And
6 months pregnant, everybody, just saying.
And I said to the lady, the nurse, is this the same machine that they do when, just out of curiosity, but I knew it was in a very strange way. I said, is this the machine that they use for scanning the baby with, and she'd put the jelly on already, not for a baby, but for the spleen. And she said, yes, as she was looking for the spleen, and her very words, as the man who's tested me 6 times comes in, and she says, yes, and we found one. And I said, found one what? And she said, a baby. So he walks in at that point. She's not knowing the background to it. And I'm lying on the bed thinking, what? She's found a baby. So I think, well, she must mean a few weeks, but I've been having this for a long time, like 6 months. And she says, yes. And as he walks in, she said, and we're just a few days off 6 months, was her words. And everybody just went completely silent. And I'm looking at my body going, this is the thinnest I've ever been. And I'm quite thin anyway. So
miracle.
He came over, exactly. Well, he came over and said, yeah, she's right. I don't know how, but you need to go and see the doctor to start the process. So the whole process was cancelled. I drove myself
You would hope so, thank you.
So I'm going, I've still got a spleen, and I've actually got a baby as well, a bonus plus, I thought,
get a nice scan picture, not a spleen.
Yeah, exactly. And then I drove to my mum's, and she'd been so worried about me, but not saying, because she thinks it's the spleen and something really bad in my system. And she was really, throughout her life, I was completely the opposite, because I changed the river flow of our ancestral pattern. She was obsessed from my nan's ancestral pattern about illness and death, because nan's parents died young. She was left looking after her brothers. He then handed that to mum with the baton of illness is attention. And then I didn't allow it to happen to me. So I don't do attention through anything, really. So anyway, mum pulls up at her house. I stop there to go to the toilet. And she jumps out of her car crying, saying, are you dying? Did they send you home because you're dying? And I go, no, I'm having a baby. So it was just crazy. It was the most craziest. So I have 3 months left to have a baby and get everything ready. So that the story turns up. He arrives on the day, the exact date, 9 months to the day of my nan dying. This child arrived. So it was a connection here. He has an awful lot of connections with that, even though he's never met her in this reality. Of course, yeah. And my nan was very religious, and I'm not. And the only one name that came through in the knowing was Jacob. So his name is that. His initials are JC, which is very similar to Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
And
Yeah.
we have this very strong connection of this sort of situation. And he arrived on the day, £8.12 by emergency cesarean. And guess what happened then? I and he created a belief that I had an emergency cesarean. No one knows if I'm dying or he's dying. And we created exactly the same belief that I did with Mum when I died in the womb, of he must never see me upset, and I must never let him be this upset. So he was unable to show me empathy, and still, to a certain amount, shows everybody else empathy, but he has a belief not to let me have the upset. He can't see me upset because I set that belief. So if I've protected him his whole life from being upset.
Oh my
gosh. There's the mirror again, and that happened when I did it to Mum. So I did it twice. I've done it twice, the same belief. So I've had to undo both of them. Yeah. So that's the very
powerful, very powerful.
Yeah. So nobody gets away from the river in that sense, but I just happen to be able to navigate it because of the knowing. So I don't get drawn into being it, the three-dimension state of mind version of it. I'm at a different sort of stage of that. But so I created him not to be upset. So he therefore then, who knows why nobody knew why he can't show empathy. But that's why he can't show empathy. But he shows it to everybody else. He's got really high empathy. So it's really interesting that he never saw me be upset. Yeah. Wow. And then he didn't cope very well when my mum passed, because then that was the first time he'd seen me really upset. Yeah. Wow. So it's a real handing of the baton of the ancestral patterns and the beliefs. And the beliefs are the things, when we do belief coding, are the things that limit you and hold you back, because you're protecting in the subconscious the pain that they created when anything that comes close to that situation in your life growing up is similar. You can't go there because you are not wanting to have that same pain. It feels like that same pain is in the moment, in the present, when it's not, but that's how it feels. So the process of unlocking those limiting beliefs are to help you not feel that in the present moment, therefore not limiting you in that present moment. Many subjects, but
wow. And I guess from what I'm hearing as well, from what you expressed, is we can be very conscious and observant of our own beliefs and things. So you are very aware of that. But equally, what you shared was it's actually a joint one. So sometimes, as much as we're aware of it, sometimes everyone has free will as well. So
yes. And so it can be very confusing because it's not yours. It's not necessarily yours. And you're saying, how is this child? So it's the nature and the nurture thing. It's it's their rememberings or not. And it's the conscious triangle as well at the same time. So you might be conscious of it, but then as you go through the conscious subconscious triangle, it's like driving the car. Car exists. As a baby you wouldn't, and then you become conscious of cars, for instance. Then you might learn to drive, but you don't know how to drive it without thinking about it too much. You need to keep concentrating, and then it just becomes second nature. So that becomes the top of you doing it naturally. But that sort of conscious subconscious triangle is in everything, and there's so much everything that we can do some things then eventually naturally, but we can't. And repetition is the thing with the beliefs as well. It's once it's in there, it's a belief of I can do this. So we then sometimes mix with, is it confidence, or is it the unconscious subconscious triangle? Because once we know it, it feels more confident. But that doesn't mean we're confident in everything. It means we're confident in that one thing that we've repeated until we get to that part of the triangle.
Yes, I hear you. And I know that maybe some people right now will be like, oh, but trust me.
That's mine.
Yeah. But I hear you, because I think also, particularly in the spiritual world, the healing world, I think, there's people that will, and that's fine because everything is belief, but, you have one session and that's it, and this. But I think also what we really we need to be so kind and loving and compassionate to ourselves is that actually, like what you so beautifully expressed, you can be conscious, you can understand, you can observe it, but sometimes it isn't about failure or success. It's sometimes something much deeper and more rooted. And so I've learned that when things come up in my life, not to judge, try as much as possible not to judge them, and just observe them. Interesting, okay, that's interesting, that's coming up again. And not try to attach a meaning to it, so it's good, it's bad, it's this, it's that, and just be curious and kind and gentle to myself, and just be like, okay, it's coming up again. And trust me, it's not easy all the time, but transformation isn't always easy, you know. So
no, and life's not meant to be. It's a bit messy, and it's not always meant to be. But I think for me, having this knowing a long time, joy has always been the thing that stays with me, because I find joy even in those messy bits.
Yeah.
So that's, I'm grateful to every relationship. I love them all. That, not that there's loads, but the amount that there are.
But agreed. And I think, what people think of that as well, because I say, like, even my past relationship, I still have that love for what, the experiences I had with them. And people say, no, you shouldn't be giving your love away. And I'm not giving it away, but they have a little place in my heart because they came on my journey, my path, whatever you want to call it, for a reason, and they taught me something, and I'm sure I taught them something. So why not have, why see a heart so small? A heart can be huge. It's not giving it away, but also I love to have that love still with people, I don't like to feel badness. Like if our relationship didn't work, I should see that I always pray, if you like to call it, or have an intention that I want to see them with the woman or the baby, whatever it is they've told me at that time that I imagined for us. So they shared their vision about us that never maybe happened because of the growth. But I hold that for another that they will experience that with, because you should always want the best for people, I think. And that's just something I do.
Yeah.
And I think
I think you asked a really poignant question just before you said all of that, and it was about healing and helping other people, and that affecting you. And I don't get affected by that, because however I got there, whether it's a protection, whether it's just because the techniques and the way that I deliver and help people isn't coming from my own pot. It's coming from higher. So it's either coming from the quantum, it's coming from, I'm the vessel, but it's not a vessel where it takes from me. And we have to be a bit careful of these things. Sometimes people who do Reiki and things, and I'm a Reiki master, and I have been for many years, but sometimes that sort of modality can steal yours to give to them, because you're not knowing how to get more to give to them. And then you go home and you're, somebody's taking more from you, and you're giving and you're over giving, and there's no boundaries.
Yes.
And so
you
are going
to be that's why, and I would love your take on this, the intention you set prior to anything you do in your life. And when I first learned about this, whether you call it prayer and intention, I used to do it in the morning, and then I realized no, there are multiple things that happen throughout my day. Like even before this podcast, I set a very powerful intention of what I want to send out into the world with what we're creating. And I believe in that. And I think anything you do, any exchange, even going on a date, I think sometimes you got to be very careful, but sometimes if you really want to see the truth of the interaction, be prepared to receive it. But I've learned that I would sooner know now than be in an illusion and be fed along, or it be a distraction or something. And I know different people come in for different things, but as much as possible I like to be in alignment and just see the truth of what is happening in my life as much as possible, even when it is sometimes painful, chaotic, you know. I think I'd sooner that.
Yeah.
So
And I, you know, I'm strong enough for pain and chaotic and stuff. And maybe, you know, the beliefs that we build were too painful at the time because we were children or from past lives. But also, I believe that when you mentioned about love and giving it to exes or people, jobs, bosses, or whatever it might be, friends, I think that codependency is huge in the river, in this flow of our ancestral river. And if you're going to go on a date and they're in that stage of a lot of codependency, it's not going to align if you're not. And so to me, the biggest question and the biggest answer is everything is love. And but the biggest thing in that quote is what love is to everybody, because it's codependency to many. So you're saying, someone, not you personally, but someone is saying, I want love and I'm manifesting that, and another person saying, I want love and I'm manifesting that, but they might not be the same version of love because their perceptions are not the same. So
I hear you, Patsy, and what I've realized with love, and I would love your take on this, is sometimes what is loving to give another doesn't always look loving. So for example, talking about the mirror again, you have that belief, they have that belief. Sometimes you are the powerful mirror that has to come in order for them to learn to love themselves. And I had that mirror, so I completely get it. You know, I was this God, no one is God. I don't know why I just zoomed in then, but anyway.
Because it's so important.
It was like, listen to me, guys, I'm coming in strong. and that was one of the most painful, again, I attached that to it, experiences of my life, but it was the most transformational. And I am so thankful to that person because they actually never, again, I put that value on them. I put that like godly status on them. They didn't. They came in as that perfect, if you want to call, mirror that came in, swept me off my feet. It was all what I created. And then I had to go, oh, I see. I need to actually give that to myself first. And that's why we have to be very careful of our movies that we create and our stories that we've got going around it, and you know, and the subconscious has a lot of the stories that we don't even know are the layer, and the layer of the stories in the movies are the thing that stops you from just being and being in the present. Because when you're being and you're in the present, there isn't anything else. It's just as it is. But when you have that layer of the subconscious or the story or the movies, that is the limitation, and that is the thing that comes first, because that talks to you. That's part of the ego. That's part of the resistance. So it's very interesting when you go on a date, because you don't know what the other person's just being or their layers are. So you've got these two people from different rivers with maybe similar layers or not similar layers, but if they've both got a story, it's still fake, it's still false, it's not real love. So for me, love is, even from the past, I don't really hold on to anybody in my heart because I like it to be free, and I don't want any of mirrors or the lessons to be held there, because that can limit, you know, give limitation too. So I don't hold them in my cells. We've got 100 trillion cells. I don't want them in my bones and my blood and everything else. So I tend to, my perception of it is that I'm just of love. So if I'm of love, no matter what happens in that union or that relationship or that situation, I'm just of love. I've got no judgment. I've had very little judgment in my life of things or people. So it's a really healthy way of seeing people, because I understand where they're coming from. I understand why they're doing it. And that's because from very young, for me, obviously, birth, the journey, I've been able to read their energy, their story. I can, as soon as they come into my space, I see the whole thing. So it's not very helpful for a date, because I sort of know it before it happens.
and I have to allow it to still happen, a bit like turning
and
up
it
to have the
scares
baby
people, you know, it scares people. And that's
Yes.
why I was saying earlier about sometimes just because you have an inner knowing or you sense something, it doesn't mean that the person's ready to hear it, because there's so many times where, you know, people feel if you would like naked because they're like smiling, but you feel something very different and you know something very different, and it scares a lot of people. But and that's why I've learned discernment, because not everybody's ready to hear it, you know. And actually you don't need to always express it, it's just a knowing, and okay.
And they don't know that they're expressing something different, that you're seeing something different. So that's really interesting, that they don't know it. And you don't know what you don't know, and that's
exactly
the really interesting thing. You
exactly.
just don't know what you don't know. And I might speak to somebody who, you know, is elevated in a frequency way higher than me. There's many people, I'm sure, and they're looking at me saying, you've just said that, and you don't know what you don't know. And so
and then you have the mirror of, you're like, I did not give you permission to tell me that.
Exactly. But we have to be very conscious of knowing, because I'm very good at self-reflection and I'm very good at checking in on myself, and I find it really hilarious, because I find life is a game. It's a game that you need to play really well. It's not supposed to be so serious. That's why the systems don't work for me, and codependency doesn't work for me. I like to be just me when I want to be. But I, you know, if I were to give any advice to anybody who might listen to this in this subject, is to, if someone's not ready, or you've got a knowing and you want to share it, then you have to find where you can share it that will be beneficial in not sort of not listening to you, or not putting you down, or people not being ready, because that shrinks people when they try to be in a 3-dimensional state of mind with people. When they're 5-dimensional, or they've got more dimensions, then they start to shrink and they start to be silent, and they start to just have it inside. They don't let their voice out, and that's detrimental to their health. That's where all our health issues come from, when we're not speaking truth. And we don't speak the truth. If we're living in our past, then, or our future, we get anxiety. If we're living in our future, if we're in our past, we get depression. So living in the moment just releases all of that sort of stuff. So there's so many diseases, not being at ease, illnesses. You know, I deal with cancers, I deal with people in hospitals, I do star magic and belief coding on people, and it just goes, you know, stomach issues from a belief you had when you were 5 or something else. Then people shrink because they think, there's a lot of people who think they're doing good in the world with healing as well, when actually they're not living in their own truth. So they're sort of given an exchange that's not truthful, and then thinking they're healing somebody else's when they're not, because they're exchanging their non-truth.
And you know what, I saw this so much in Bali in particular. I'm not just saying it's just the location that I saw it of, you know, they were the healer, they were the shaman or whatever in the space, and then they would be sleeping for like 2 days, and I'm like, that is not alignment, because that might be something that you are gifted with, that is, and I know you come from a place of love, but if you are depleted then for 2 days afterwards, there's something that you are like what you just said, you've given some sort of power away, or I just think we always just need to check back in ourselves, because, like, for example, with this, even, you know, some people might, if you're still listening, everybody, will be like, like, there'll be people that would just be like, I do not know what are they even talking English? Like, there'll be other people that get it, but what I believe, that whenever you leave something, you should feel full. Like, even this has been a very deep and very just you know, expressive conversation, but I always leave, no matter what I talk about with my guests, I always leave feeling so energized, and that's how I know I'm in alignment. Because even if we've talked about, you know, really awful things that have happened to my guests, I don't know what it is, but there's always a transformational, uplifting, empowering energy by the end of it, because that's the intention I want to put out, to always leave people with positivity and something they can actively, you know, receive or use in their life. So even though however long it is or however short, I always know that I never am going to come off it and be like, gosh, that was intense. If you're doing that, you need to be questioning yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when you're in your truth and you're in alignment, mostly, you, even if your audience isn't sort of knowing or listening or understanding, and you think, you know, they think you're speaking Chinese, that I always feel empowered, or, you know, I feel energized by that as well. They might feel drained because that's their mirror. Because it was a lot for them to take that frequency. And when I'm doing the star magic particularly, and the belief coding, but the star magic particularly, I'm actually taking out their traumas from their cells and their organs, and I'm putting in new frequencies and new codes. And that, the body has to have integration. So I have to actually do a session on integration, because the body it's, you know, we are the technology. That's what we are. And that technology is going, oh my God, what's this frequency? I don't know what to do. Tired, because so some people will get tired and think it hasn't worked, I'm really tired, and or I'm really the problem that they might be experiencing is heightened, and it'll heighten because the frequencies are really
come out.
The whole thing, and it's got to come out, and then it just sort of settles and the integration starts, and you think, I feel really great now. This is amazing. So people don't always understand that as well, and they give up really early because they think whatever you're doing or giving with them or helping with them has made them worse, but that can't happen. There's no such thing. The frequencies can't make you worse. Nothing.
Absolutely. But I think that's a really powerful difference that you've just shared there, because there's a very big difference between someone doing a session and being kind of very unconscious about how they're feeling afterwards, whereas you know and you are able to express that to the person you're working with. That's very different. You don't leave them then blind of like, why do I feel like this right now? You support them in the integration, and I think that's the difference. Is I think, you know, as long as we're always open, transparent, and clear about what's happening with us and the exchange with whoever we're doing it with, that's when the understanding, because how often, again, back to being young, just do it, I told you to, and we don't have enough of explaining. And I guess, you know, there's the other side of it of sometimes now you can hear too much explaining, particularly for little ones, and they know a little bit too much. It's all about discernment. But when it's adult to adult, as much as possible, don't ever like, well, you're intuitive anyway, but don't ever feel like something little is going to like make them feel like you know, like, of course I know that. Don't ever make assumptions. You hear something, you feel something, explain it. It's better to explain it and someone to understand and relate to it than be like, what's happening. So
and that's interesting. When I do my guidance readings, which I've been doing them for years, I just love them. And, you know, people when I'm out just ask me these questions and I get the answers from the knowing or from their connections. And so they get their truth, but even then they don't always want to hear the truth. But I have to deliver. I have to deliver it. I cannot do anything other than that. That's what I am. So if I am the truth, I have to give the truth, and it comes through me. So when I give that guidance, often people who have treatments with me, with the star magic or the belief coding, whatever it might be, often, or coaching, they often will have a guidance before they even know anything about that. But it's so intuitive and so knowing that the person knows that was everything they were thinking, everything that was going on in their life. It was so accurately said from the past, the present, or even a little bit into the future, that they will say that, well, I knew that and I thought that, and I've always been thinking this, but they're in that sort of resistance moment, or they're in that. And the guidance session is such a powerful hour with them that makes that sort of resistance and everything go. It says, right, I'm ready. I've heard it from someone else who doesn't even know me. They've never met me.
Yeah.
And to hear that is I love that part of it, because that helps me to know that I'm doing this work, and it makes me know that I read the person correctly, and that yes, they might not have liked the truth sometimes, and you know, they go away and lick their wounds sometimes a little bit, but they know instinctively that everything that got said to them, and I'm not talking about names of, you know,
no, it would have to be something that would,
and I can do that. That's like a party trick to me. I can do that if I want to, but that's not the important stuff. To hear someone's name that's passed away, they know the person's name, but they want to prove I know, and I'm not there to perform to prove to them that I know. That's not what my purpose is. My purpose is to help them know their truth and go with it, go with their truth, whether that's in a relationship. My guidance isn't a tall, hot, dark, handsome stranger. My guidance would be, you know, your connection from whatever happened when you were 14 to now is stopping you having a baby, so let's do this. You know, that's my guidance. So that's where they're stuck.
That's why they seek you out, because clearly what someone's doing hasn't created the result that they want. So sometimes the truth, unfortunately, is what you have to go through in order to get the transformation. So wow, Patsy, oh my gosh, I literally could speak to you for forever. I love
that
so much about you and what you're creating. And yes, what a blessing to have you on the Zest podcast. And just before you go, if there's obviously all your details will be in the description. I feel like you do absolutely not need to say anything else about what you're doing. You through your beautiful examples, journey, people will just know, I need to speak to this woman now. And you feel that, do it. Just before you go, you're very welcome. If there was someone listening right now, it doesn't have to be linked to anything we've just said, would really benefit from hearing, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that if you are hearing intuitively inside of you that it's time to move on, learn something new, move house, whatever it might be, not to ignore it and to take the first step. Not everything has to be the big picture. The first step is the first step, and that will have a huge ripple effect on your life. So I would really, really say that to everybody, that the bravery of just one tiny step, it might be something really small that you think's really nothing, then is going to have a ripple effect. Whether it's meeting somebody like me or somebody else that might be able to help you, do the first step, because everything in life is the stepping stone. And it changes everything, and it can do it quickly, sometimes slowly, and it's a bit of a whirlwind sometimes, but if you make those steps, you are giving the message that you are ready to move, and movement is the key to our life. Movement is everything. So I would say move. I would say keep moving forward.
Beautiful, beautiful. And if you have that resistance in your mind, do it even more.
Feel the fear and do it anyway, as they say.
yes. Really, thank you so much, Patsy. Much love to you, and thank you so much. And please subscribe to help amplify this incredible woman's message and wisdom and everything she shared here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I love you.
That's the magic. That's Zest.